Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and in today's video I want to go over the different external lights that we have available in our A320 family aircraft and what exactly their use is. We are going to do this based upon the external light panel inside the cockpit, so there is no particular sequence to the lights listed. So we're going to start with the Stropes up here. And these strobe lights are located in pairs of lights across the aircraft, and you've got 3 in total. There's one on the left-hand wing, as you can see over here, and there's 2 bulbs fitted for that. Then we've got one on the tail of the aircraft, located right over here, and again, as you can see, there's 2 bulbs located over there, and last but not least, we go over to the right-hand wingtip, where once again we've got 2 light bulbs. The purpose of the strobe light is to increase visibility of the aircraft in low lighting conditions, such as during night, by emitting a very bright white flash. Now, what's interesting about those strobe lights is that they have an auto position fitted to the aircraft as well. That's the one located in the middle. Now you will notice when I switch them to auto, they are going to turn off while we're on the ground. And the reason for this is that the auto position of the strobe light simply relies on the air-to-ground sensor, and when the aircraft senses that it is in the air with the lights in the auto position, then it is going to turn them on automatically. Likewise, when you're on the ground, it is going to turn them off automatically. Next up we have the beacon light, and the beacon is located at the top and the bottom of the aircraft. You've got one beacon located right up here on the top, and then there is another one that is located on the bottom of the fuselage. The purpose of the beacon is to alert anybody close by on the ground to potential danger from the aircraft either starting to move or from the aircraft about to start its engines. So you would turn the beacon on both during towing process, regardless whether the engines are running or not, and before the engines start, and turn it off again after the last engine is shut down. The beacon is red since it basically indicates danger to anybody nearby. So let's turn the beacon off again and move on to the next one, which is the wing light. The wing light is located right over here in front of the wings. On the A321 it is located before the second door, and on the A320 and 319 it is located just in front of the leading edge. So you have 2 wing lights, one on each side, and the purpose of these is to illuminate the leading edge of the wing. Now, why is that important? What could the use of that possibly be? Well, the use of it is to give the pilot an indication when you're looking at the leading edges of the wing to be able to see if there is any icing located on the leading edges. And that is the sole purpose of the wing light. Now, to be completely clear over here, I know that some operators are using them to increase the visibility of the aircraft to others, but the wing lights are so weak that basically once you're at a normal distance where you can still see and avoid one another, you wouldn't even notice them. So the exclusive use of the wing lights is to illuminate the leading edges to enable the crew to be able to see if any ice accumulates on the leading edges. There is one specialty here on the A321, and that is the location of the wing light just in front of the 2 left door. And the problem here is when a jetway is connected to that door, then the bright light, which does of course create some heat, could actually set the jetway ablaze and create a fire. And for this reason, the wing light is actually part of the shutdown checklist, where you ensure that the light is turned off. For fleet commonality reasons, that light is also included on the checklist of the A319 and the the A320. But the actual problem that can be created is exclusive to the A321, where a fire might be started because the light may be too close to the jetway. So moving on then, next up we have the nav and logo lights, and you will notice that this switch actually has 2 positions, so you've got position 1 and position 2. We're gonna start with position number 1 over here. Basically they have a similar effect, but first of all let's start with the usage of the lights. So what are the nav and logo lights good for? Well, Let's start with the nav light. The nav lights are red on the left-hand side of the aircraft and green on the right-hand side of the aircraft. There is a little bit debate over the actual reason how those colors have been established, but you can make it rather easy when you want to make use of them as a crew member. And that is, if you only see the red light from an aircraft, then it means the aircraft is coming from your right-hand side. And this means you need to give way to the aircraft. So, in other words, if you're in the air and you see an aircraft approaching on a converging track and you see the red light, that means you need to give way to that aircraft. If on the other hand side you see only the green light, that means that the other aircraft is coming from your left, and therefore the other aircraft needs to give way to you. There are two lights located on each side of the wing. So you have a green bulb over here, this is position number 1, and if we now go to the flight deck again and change to position number 2, you will see that now the other one of the two lights illuminates. The idea behind having two of these lights, just like having two of the strobe lights in each set over here, is that if any single one of them goes inoperative, you can just change over to the other position and the aircraft is still dispatchable by the minimum equipment list. Now, you also have a nav light located on the tail cone of the aircraft, and just like on the wing, you have two lights over here. That's number 2, that's number 1. Depending on which position is selected on the switch, you have either one of them illuminated, but you cannot illuminate both at the same time. The idea behind having the white light towards the tail of the aircraft is that if aircraft are taxiing in trail of one another, imagine being over here, you basically don't see any other lights of that aircraft except for that white light on the tail. That makes it a lot easier to spot the aircraft in front of you if you're in a very dark situation, and therefore provides collision avoidance at the back over here. Now going back inside, we have now covered the nav and logo lights, so let's move down to those lights that are now interesting to us as the pilots themselves. The lights on the top over here, with the exception of the wing light, are basically to be seen by others. The ones on the bottom are to be seen by us. And we're going to start this one right at the nose wheel. But before we turn on any one of the lights, let's quickly go forward, because it can be rather hard to actually see something when the lights are illuminated. So this is what it looks like, and you can see that you basically have 4 light bulbs located on the nose wheel of the aircraft. Let's start with the 2 at the bottom. Those are the runway turn-off lights, and you can see that they are located towards the side of the landing gear. So if I'm going to switch those on right now, those illuminate, and they illuminate an area that is located to the side of the plane in order to help increase the visibility during taxi. The name runway turn-off lights is actually a little bit confusing, as they are not really used for turning off runways, but they are much rather used to increase the visibility in front during normal taxi. So these lights give you a good view to the side and illuminate the area on the side of your aircraft, making the taxiways and the surrounding area visible much better to you as the pilot. Now, if we move back inside and turn those off again, then I am just going to deviate from the sequence here for a moment, because next up we have the nose lights. And the nose lights are the 2 light bulbs located at the very top of the landing gear. So we've got 2 of them over here. Let's start with the one that we see over here, that is the smaller one of the 2. And this is the taxi light. So if we go right back up and switch the nose light to taxi, then this is the light that's going to come on. Now the taxi light shines straight ahead, as we can see from the reflection on the ground down here, but there is no turning of this light. So when you are going through a turn, that light is still going to shine you straight ahead, which is the reason why you have the runway turn-off lights in the first place. Now the second one up here is the takeoff position of that light. So if we switch the nose light to takeoff, we basically can't see anything anymore over here. But that is the larger light that you saw located on the side. Now, that leaves us with one last pair of lights, and that is of course the landing lights. Before we are going to turn them on, let's quickly move over to their position. So we've got 2 landing lights fitted to the aircraft, and that is 1 on each main wing. By default they are in the retracted position and are flush with the actual wing itself in order to reduce the drag of the aircraft. Now both of those can be operated simultaneously or one by the other. Let's go ahead and turn them to the off position. That basically means the lights are extended into the airstream, but are not actually getting turned on. Only if we switch them to the on position, the landing light actually starts to illuminate. And last but not least, you can retract them over here again. Now what is the use of the landing light? The landing light has a twofold use. On one hand side, it illuminates the area of the runway ahead of you rather brightly, which makes the runway visible a little bit better to you as the pilot. However, that is not the primary use of the landing light. The primary use is to make your aircraft visible to others that are operating in the area. The landing lights are the only lights on top of the Stropes that are really that bright that they are very, very hard to miss. If you're operating in rather dark lighting conditions, the position lights can easily be missed, but the landing lights are usually the ones that are the brightest and that make the aircraft visible as best as possible. I do hope that you enjoyed this little look at the different lights available on the Airbus A320 family. Leave your feedback in the comments below, and if you're interested in more videos of this type, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link located in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and I see you all again on the next one.